That doesn't cut it.
What do you mean?
Live from New York, it's a show that
I can't believe it.
has a cast on like a child.
Like, what do you want
I'm
from
just
me?
saying.
What do you want from me?
I'm going to sign it after
So am I.
Greg Jennings wouldn't let us sign his. You guys. Can
His was
definitely-
cool.
You guys can definitely sign mine. His was cool.
Yeah.
Why? What? It was the
Yeah,
exact
if you're like
same
this,
thing.
it's cool.
He was more incapacitated. I'm out here fighting, buddy.
Okay, it's first things first. Today, Caleb headed to Chicago, basically official now. Why one person here thinks the Bears are headed to the playoffs.
What?
Meanwhile, Kyrie, left-handed hook shot
that-
to win the game.
Oh.
Brew, I'm going to ask for an early take. One of the best game winners of the decade,
Yes. Regular season game? Yes.
century.
Yes. Only way you can say,
Ever?
well, century, I can't. Only way you can say something was better is just because of the stakes.
Correct.
Right?
I agree with that.
How you going to get better than that?
I know.
Yeah.
Okay. And finally,
Awesome.
look, we all know his body betrayed him.
Oh my God.
It did. He's had 2 full seasons.
You want to tell me?
Where's he going?
But what did Sean McVay see in Jimmy
McVay.
G
Sean McVay?
to prove that Brew is once again absolutely right?
Sean McVay?
I mean-
This is unbelievable.
This is Sean McVay.
Yeah.
He knows quarterback.
You know, better than almost anyone.
Right.
Who was
so
his last
he
backup
knows what he's
quarterback
doing.
they just added? It was Carson Wentz,
Baker.
right? No, it was Carson Wentz actually. Bro.
Well, wait till you
It was
see Carson Wentz in Minnesota this
Okay.
year. They got rid of Kirk Cousins. They're like, oh, you got the McVay special. Alongside Chris Broussard. Okay.
Yeah, we went too long there. It's
Sorry.
too much time making fun of me.
We start with the newest man of steel, Nick Wright, who's going to have an iron plate.
Okay.
Justin Fields now in Pittsburgh, but it doesn't look like there's going to be a quarterback competition. I guess so, sure. Which frankly seems strange. Russ tweeting that the quarterback room is about to be fire. That's good. So we'll start with you, Nick. Should Russ be the Week 1 starter?
If it were up to me, no, but I'm certain he will be. And I think quarterback competitions are slightly overstated by the media because of the lack of time. Because if you have 2 new guys and you're going to need to get at least one of them up to speed,
I buy that.
they are going to need so much more time in your offseason with the ones. You know what I mean? With the starters getting the reps. So I think a quarterback competition with an incumbent and someone brought in to compete with them is different than this situation where both guys are totally new. And if you give both guys 45% of the first team reps with the other third quarterback getting 10% of them, neither's going to be ready. So I do think it will be Russell Wilson Week 1, but as confident as I am that it's Russell Week 1, I believe it would be Justin Week 18 and the weeks leading up to it. I do not think Russell Wilson will keep this job, but I think he will start with this job on a very short leash, and because I am much more pessimistic about Russ's ability in any offense, much less the Steelers' offense right now with their lack of overall skill position talent. I don't think he'll keep the job, but I think it will be his Week 1 job.
Well, one, I think they do have skill position talent. You got Freiermuth at tight end. You got Pickens. I know they got rid of Deontay Johnson, but you got Pickens. You got 2 good running backs. So I think they got pretty good talent. I agree with you. Russ will what I say is he should enter training camp as the number 1 on the depth chart. Now, if he gets beat out, and like you said, it's hard to have a
It'll be
real
hard to beat him out.
because they also don't go as hard as they used to with
Right.
tackling and things like that. So, but if he were to, he would have to really just completely outshine Russ passing, because we know running, he's going to be a better runner. But if he were to come out with accuracy, which he's had trouble with accuracy, I'm talking about Fields, but he would have to look so much better in the air than Russ. And Russ would have to look essentially washed for me to
that'll
move him
happen.
ahead of Justin. I mean, I didn't think Russ looked washed last year. And so I think if he's number 1 on the depth chart, if it's even or close, maybe Justin's a little better, you start with Russ. Because also, Nick, I think it's easier to move from Russ to Justin than Justin to Russ. If Russ were to not start, and if it was a close competition, he doesn't start in the regular season, I think he's upset. His mood could ruin the locker room. He would say the right thing, but it could work against the locker room. Whereas if he starts off, I agree, short leash, plays 3 or 4 games and looks bad through the first 4 games, then he's benched. The locker room's not like, oh, bro, we got this guy who's won a Super Bowl. He's a veteran. They saw, oh, he wasn't good. So I think that would be a smoother transition. So I look, we'll see what Russ does, but I do think he'll start. And if he can hold it, he can hold it. If not, go to Justin.
So go ahead, Wild.
No, you go.
Do we agree that Justin Fields should be at the place in his career where he's still improving?
Yeah.
Yeah,
he is.
theoretically,
Yeah,
it should be.
absolutely.
All right. Do we agree that Russ is in the place in his career where he's clearly declining?
Well, I think he improved from 2 years ago to last year.
Sure.
And I think he could. Now, he's not going to get back to what he was in Seattle at his best, but he could improve on last year.
And you and I obviously feel differently about where he was last year and how well or poorly he played. Point I'm making is this. Can we just show what these two players have been post Justin's rookie season? So since Russ left Seattle and, since Justin wasn't a rookie, Russ, yes, has more wins and a slightly higher completion percentage. They have both been sacked the same amount of times. Their yards per game is the same. Their touchdown to turnover ratio is essentially the same. And Justin is nearly a full decade younger.
Yeah.
So for those reasons, I think it is, and I don't know where you stand on this one, Brew. I think it is far more likely, because they're both going to be on expiring contracts. I know there was some question like, the Steelers will have to make a decision on Justin Fields' fifth-year option. There is no chance they're picking up that option because they have to make that decision before the year starts,
Really?
Brew. Yeah, they have to make that decision this offseason. They're not going to pick up a $20+ million guaranteed thing for Justin Fields. There's no chance.
I'm not saying they will, but I could see them doing it because they're looking at him as their guy of the future. And what's the other route? Like they're going to be
how long is
at
this
the worst they're going to be mediocre, right? So you're not going to get like a high draft pick.
So I guess the point I was making is I think it is close to a 0% chance they pick up his fifth-year option. But despite that, I think there is far greater likelihood that Justin Fields is on the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2025 than there is Russell Wilson is on the Steelers in 2025.
You would hope so if you're a Steelers fan.
And so I think Justin will ultimately be the starting quarterback and will finish the season as the starting quarterback. And how he plays in that stretch is what is going to determine if they bring him back next season, to be their long-term starter.
I think they hope clearly that he plays well and he's their starter for the next several years.
Well, from what they're saying, they hope he does not play.
Well, I thought
they're
Russ
making
is
Russ
that's
is
what I'm
the
saying.
starter.
Russ is
Drew.
the starter.
Well, yeah,
They're making Russ
but
the starter.
You could start Russ. Now, look, if Russ has a great year, they make the playoffs, make a nice run, sure. But if Russ, I think they want to see what Justin's made of out in practice as well, because it's good for him to sit at the feet of in a great organization, a great head coach, and a Super Bowl champion. Like, this could be good for him to learn. I mean, Jordan Love, I know he started Justin, and he would be going to the bench. But still, it was good for Jordan Love, and we saw great improvement from him from early in his career to coming in finally as a starter. So why couldn't you see that with Fields?
Okay. Steelers offense since Big Ben retired. I tried to find the inflection point. This is where they're at, almost bottom of the league in absolutely everything. They've had several different plans here, which including you sign Trubisky, you drafted Pickett, you start Trubisky, you start Pickett. Okay, Pickett gets hurt, you bring back Trubisky, you bring in Rudolph. Rudolph's now gone. He loses the playoff game. Russ is here. Russ calls Kenny Pickett on Friday. We ran the clip of Russ saying, talk to Kenny Pickett. We were like, yep, let's get it. Let's be great. Later on that day when the show had Kenny Pickett's gone and Justin Fields is in, it just feels like a lot of tumult in Pittsburgh. And as you talk about if you talk about Jordan Love, the fact that I feel like it's a little bit of a Packers story, that they went from Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love seamlessly.
Well, right, after doing the same thing Favre to Rodgers. But that's
and this is just so messy, and we still don't know what's going to happen.
When you don't have a good quarterback.
No, and it's also what life is like after your longtime franchise quarterback steps away. This is why I felt like Belichick was getting unfairly maligned the last few years. What has the Patriots plan been post Brady? It would look a lot like
very
that.
similar. Let's get Cam. Let's draft somebody.
Matt. Get rid of this guy.
Here's somebody.
What has the Saints plan looked like post Drew Brees?
Even weirder.
A lot of the same thing. Even a worse quarterback than those guys, obviously. What does the Falcons plan look like post Matt Ryan? Yeah, a lot of weirdness. If you are a good enough organization to not bottom out when your franchise quarterback goes away,